Yeah.
See, that's why I don't take my Zalapa players for my show. No matter what, at the moment, I feel they're not ready. Because Bruce's philosophy, they can't fit in. So that's why I am getting some of it to train my girls so that when they have an opportunity to go to the cinema, they're able to fit in.
Yeah.
And then that will go about there, and they have time to talk about.
It was Mike.
I don't know that advertising when my they don't take charity, they don't take national material, this is the
Yeah, and it's tricky.
But they also the prisons once it in one point, though we are on number 10, they are on number 12
Yeah.
because they consider
By the pressure is that no, mambo favoring the players are part.
yes, they like an next team for not talk about if you call a coach back here to team. That's why I end up but she can't play. No.
Hi. I'm better than you. Okay. Ah. Akumira titi denzo kuna kutumia.
I'm not but so what questions are you asking?
There's nothing. Don't worry. We don't even need it that much. It's just basic reactions. How do you look at the group? Which team do you think is the biggest?
What's your brother? Oh, can get on from a jacket at the Netherlands and now in a 4, 10, 3. Because that I have full and always.
Ah. Huh? Okay. Now I'm ready. I was born ready. I was born ready. Just the same one. That's our cue. Immediately after Aziza won't get it out. So use that as the opening. Okay. But lower third on that side.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we are going one night. That's it? Okay,
Somebody cue me in. Can't see anybody cueing me in. But this is my camera, right? Hello and welcome to this special edition of Cheza Na Topstar. We're coming to you live from the home of digital, television in the country. Topstar, over 900,000 subscribers are already part and parcel of the Topstar family. If you're not part and parcel of the Topstar family, what are you waiting for? Make sure that you buy that decoder. Today is a very historical day in as far as women's football, and we at Topstar, and to be more precise, Cheza Na Topstar is dedicating this particular edition to the Copper Queens. Why, you might be asking? In the last few minutes or so, Auckland was a hive of activity because the footballing eyes were focused on New Zealand as a draw for the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup took center stage. I can tell you that Zambia has been put in a Group C alongside Spain, as well as Costa Rica and former champions Japan. So we wait with bated breath to see how Zambia will fare. To react and of course look at this particular group in detail, I'm delighted and privileged to host the women's national team assistant coach Florence Mwila, who joins me on set. Florence, welcome to Cheza Na Topstar.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. We started off with that, caption showing, Zambia qualifying for the World Cup. That was at the WAFCON, beating Senegal by 4-2 on post-match penalties. First and foremost, let's begin from that point. Zambia qualifying at the WAFCON in Morocco. What sort of memories do those images of, Hazel Nali scoring that crucial penalty bring to mind or spring to your mind?
Well, I'm not a fan of penalties, by the way. So I'll tell you the truth that when the penalties were being taken, especially the last one, I didn't even look. I said, I'll hear your scream. If I hear, then I know we didn't do well. And then if I hear a scream, I actually injured myself to celebrate as I ran to go and celebrate. So those are memorable pictures that will always be with us because we really fought hard as a team that the first assignment was to qualify to the World Cup, which we did. Okay. Very good memories.
Okay. Now we know the opponents and the identity of Zambia's, opponents in Group C. If you look at the group, who do you think are Zambia's biggest threat in terms of progressing beyond the group stage at this World Cup?
Okay, so looking at this group, I was actually keeping my fingers crossed that we would be drawn in that group. Thank God we were drawn in that group. But I wouldn't say it's going to be an easy one because those are teams that have been to the World Cup several times than us. Yeah. So it won't be an easy one, but definitely we'll work hard as a team to push them.
All right. Now that we know the group opponents for Zambia, what next in terms of preparation from a technical point of view?
Okay, so we'll be going in camp next weekend for a 3-nation tournament in Colombia. So that's part of the preparation. Unfortunately, the Netherlands one didn't work out, but I know that the association has a lot of programs lined up for us. And getting closer to the tournament, we might leave the country earlier so that we acclimatize. And I think these preparations, looking at Colombia and maybe the other teams that are there, not sure which one, but might be Italy. Those are teams that are also strong to play with. So that will be able to help us to assess the players that we have, because definitely we need to fill up some gaps from the team that we had at the WAFCON.
Okay. Normally people will say that when you're playing a tournament such as the World Cup, you want to face teams from similar geographical, locations. In this case, you are facing Colombia in your next assignment in terms of preparations. We don't have a South American team. How do you hope that outing against Colombia will help you prepare for this, particular, World Cup, considering you've got Spain from Europe, Costa Rica from North America, and Japan from Asia?
Looking at the geographical part of it, I think for a start, we need to play any team outside Africa for experience sake. Yes. So at the moment, through the preparations, and I think now that the draws have been done, I think the association will now look into other teams from the different geographical areas that these other teams that are in our group are coming from. So that one, for starters, it will really be an eye opener for us, and for just exposure for the girls. Most of them have not played teams outside Africa.
All right. I know that we started off the show looking at a clip or a video of the penalty shootouts at the WAFCON that guaranteed Zambia's maiden qualification to the World Cup. But let's quickly rewind. Just after that, historical day in Morocco against the Senegalese, there were jubilation and celebratory scenes within the dressing room of the Zambian camp. And we're going to take you to those scenes because there's one particular name that constantly came up in those particular celebrations. After this particular caption, I'll be getting into the nitty-gritties in as far as finding out what the latest is surrounding this particular player.
World Cup. Watch me. Watch me. World Cup. Watch me.
World Cup, here we come!
World Cup, here we come. Babla, takuwinila. World Cup, bola na lesa, one love. Babara. This was for Barbara Banda. World Cup, here we come. Apa tikuchaila Barbara timfuna. Woi, takuwinila pa.
Players shouting out the name of Barbara Banda, who was, a big miss in as far as the Zambian camp at the WAFCON. I guess the biggest question on everybody's lips, Coach Florence, is Barbara eligible and available to play at the World Cup, because she wasn't, available for the Africa Cup of Nations?
Yes, she is available. And she's eligible to play.
Okay, all right. What sort of a boost does that give the Zambian team? Because many people out there believe that, with Barbara Banda in the team, the Zambian team is a different proposition altogether. Is that the missing piece to the puzzle that, the technical bench is looking to in terms of getting out of this particular group?
Would say that, yeah. But then also, I think everyone is accounting for themselves very well.
Yeah.
You saw the WAFCON, regardless of her not being around,
Yeah.
we were able to reach that far. I know that our fans back home didn't believe in us at first because they saw that Barbara wasn't there. But I just like the fact that, and as a technical bench, we like the fact that the players accounted for themselves very well to have fought that far, regardless of the poor officiating in the semi-finals. So Barbara being added to the team is also a plus to us, plus the other players that we're going to add into the team.
Okay, let's look at the technicalities of this, particular group. Many people out there are saying that, Alexia Putellas just being crowned a Ballon d'Or winner for the second consecutive year. Spain probably are the hugest, stumbling block in as far as the team is concerned. How do you look at this Spanish team going into this particular World Cup?
We can't run away from the fact that they're a good side and they've got big names. They've been on the stage for some time. But on the technical point of view, I think it's time that we moved into the new era of using technology. So we need to study the teams that we have in our group. So that's where the video analysts will come in, so that we're able to know how they play their games. Even in our preparation, we know how to approach each and every game in that group in order for us to move to the next stage. And I think with the technology that is there, it's really helping. It's really helpful even for us as coaches to plan for our next games.
You've got a handful of Zambian players plying their trade in Spain, the likes of Helen Mwanga, and others. Are you going to be tapping into their knowledge, probably exchanging, notes about, the players that they rub shoulders with within their teams, and of course play against on a regular basis, to get a little bit of an insight into how the Spanish play?
Yeah, that would be helpful because they'll even be able to share with their friends that they're playing with, their teammates. Yeah, so that's a plus to us because I think they're about 4 now. Four players. That's a good number to be playing in Spain because the Spanish game is the same.
Yeah.
So they have now adapted to that way of playing, and so that will be able to help us as a team in preparation as well.
The FIFA World Cup dates back to its inaugural edition in 1991. So far, we've had 8, tournaments thus far. The USA, by far, the most dominant force in as far as the competition is concerned. Japan, who have won, the World Cup in the past. Do you think that experience of having done it at, the highest level at this particular tournament gives them an edge over the Zambians?
It does. So, but one thing that all the teams in the World Cup should understand is that there's no underdog, because for them to have qualified to reach at that stage, meaning they've really fought and they've put in their best. So Zambia is only going there for the first time, but Zambia has fought, Zambia has worked hard, and I'm sure being there, we just don't want to go and participate. We want to go and compete, so that they don't have it easy on us, being the debutants. So,
Okay. Let's move on to Costa Rica. Costa Rica and Zambia share such a rich history, if you like, dating back to the 2014 Under-17 World Cup that was hosted in Costa Rica, ironically, and Zambia did play against Costa Rica. Many of the team has graduated from 2017 up to this particular squad that we have. Does that give you a lot of confidence knowing that you've played against Costa Rica, even though it's at a different, age category, that you can still beat them even at this particular level because the players have some sort of knowledge about what they're coming up against?
That's a plus for us, because I believe even Costa Rica, the girls that played in 2014 should be part of the senior team now, so they know each other. But we cannot go in saying because we played them, that's like years ago. So the game is changing, it's evolving, it's different. That's a different ball game altogether. Ours is to concentrate and not look at the team that we had already played them, so we're able to win. No, we need to go in focused on getting the points out of them.
Okay. Yeah. So we are aware that the seeded team in this particular group it was Japan, Spain rather. Sorry, in this particular group. What that means is that Zambia played twice in last match in the group. Will have to travel something like 6,000 kilometers for that third and final match. Knowing that the third and final match is, in most cases, the match that decides whether you're going to go through or go out. Talk us through about the importance of resting in between games, especially at the tournament, and the impact of traveling 6,000 kilometers will have between two matches that could ultimately decide the outcome of the group.
Well, I think the distance is too much, but then, that's a tournament, so we have to prepare our team as well, because we know that in a tournament, you play, sometimes games are back-to-back, but with the World Cup, the setup is that it gives you a breather for your team to really recover, and so even after traveling, there'll be a time for the team to really recover in preparation for the next game. So we also have those programs where we talk to the girls and just be able to let them know how they're supposed to handle themselves in terms of fatigue and things like that. Rest is very important as well for your body to be rejuvenated for the next activity.
Yeah. Let's talk about, altitude. And this is the height, above, sea level. In Australia, in comparison to Zambia, the height above sea level is considerably higher, meaning that there's less oxygen. Talk us through, from a coach's perspective, from a technical perspective, what the altitude factor does in terms of the player's performance.
Well, I think it depends from player to player, because some players might have traveled to different places, but others might have not. But then after we arrive, we have a certain program that we are able to have with the players, that they are able to get back to themselves and be ready for competition.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. For our viewers out there who might be watching this edition of Cheza Na Topstar live from the head office of Topstar here in the capital city, just along Great East Road, opposite Mulungushi International Conference Center. If you do have an opportunity, come through and, of course, get that decoder and, of course, be part and parcel of the Topstar family. We're going to take you to what we're calling explanation of the group stage draw. Of course, it has been conducted, but just for the sake of our viewers, so that you can understand how Zambia ended up being in Group C, and are going to face Spain, Costa Rica, and Japan. So this is how the procedure for the group stage draw that was conducted is all about.
Cup draw will take place on Saturday, 22nd of October at 7:30 p.m. in Auckland, Tamaki Makaurau. 32 teams, 8 groups, 4 teams per group. The teams have already been seeded into 4 pots, based on the latest FIFA Coca-Cola Women's World Ranking. The host countries have automatically been assigned, New Zealand as A1 and Australia B1. The draw starts from pot 1 through 4. Drawing a team ball followed by a group ball until all pots are empty. Pots 2, 3 and 4 don't have pre-assigned positions. Instead, their placement in the groups will be drawn randomly. A final comment, no 2 teams from the same qualification zone except Europe can be drawn together in the same group. It's easy, right? Watch it all live on FIFA Plus. Matewa!
I want to understand. Many of the times we have seen a trend, both in men and women's football, owing to the regulations that FIFA have opened up, dual nationality, in as far as football is concerned. The concern by many Zambians out there is that we've got a very good Copper Queens team, but there are a lot of Zambians who might have, distant cousins, distant grandparents, and so on and so forth, who can still be eligible to play for Zambia. As a technical bench, are those players still within your plans, and are you still open, to players who might have been brought up in a different country, but have got Zambian heritage to be part and parcel of the team with about 10 months to go before the tournament?
As a technical team, we're looking into that, and we are following up on some of the players that are being mentioned so much on social media. So we also need to do an analysis on the coach's point of view, because you know how social media is. Just because one dribbles one person and they think they're eligible to be part of the national team, and there's more to it. So we are doing that, assessing them, seeing videos of them play. And we are looking into beefing up the team with those players if they are available to play for the Copper Queens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that obviously Coach Bruce Mwape is on the ground. I know for a fact that the first game that you're going to be playing is going to be on an artificial turf. Tell us a little bit more about the dynamics of playing on natural grass in comparison to playing a competitive match on artificial turf.
There's a huge difference, because on an artificial turf the ball moves really fast. So knowing that we're going to play on an artificial turf, we need to switch and start training using an artificial turf so that we get used to it. You can't just train on it 1-2 days and then go and play on it. It will be difficult because the ball really moves fast. So even in our planning, now that we know where we are and which city we're going to play in, we know how we're going to prepare the team in readiness for the World Cup.
I know that your last game, which means that you have to move, you're going to be playing on a natural grass. How is that going to shape your preparation? Because you know that in the first 3 games, that you're playing at this particular tournament, that will ultimately decide whether you're going through the group. You're playing both on artificial and natural grass. Wouldn't it be easier to play all the games on artificial grass or all the games on natural grass? So how does that affect your preparation as a coach?
It doesn't really affect our preparation. Because the level that we've reached now, we need to understand that at the highest level, you'll be able to use both.
Yes.
So even in our preparation, we'll know that mostly we'll use the artificial one because that's the one that will have more games on. On the natural one, we are already using natural one, so it will not be a bad thing to do, or it will not be a hard thing to do, because the girls will really be able to adjust quickly to it. It's easy to adjust from an artificial turf to a natural turf than from a natural turf to an artificial one.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a silent cry between Zambian football fans because I know that there's a thin line between representing your club and representing the country. And my next question comes to your next assignment as a national team. The Green Buffaloes women's team is in contention at the CAF Champions League for the women in Morocco. If they do get to the semi-final and final, it means that there's a likelihood that certain players within the Green Buffaloes team won't be part of the team that will travel to face, Colombia, because the dates are clashing. How does that affect your preparation as a technical bench, knowing that essential players, critical players within your squad might not be part and parcel of, a crucial, preparatory match such as the matches against Colombia?
Such a situation is very good again.
Okay.
It can be negative on the other side, but positive on the other side, because it gives us an opportunity to look at the other players.
Yeah.
So we look at it in a way that in case those same key players have injuries, who is going to stand in? So this is the case we are in the Colombia one.
Okay.
But they will join the team later on. So
Okay.
they travel straight from Morocco to join in the next game while we are that side. So for the first game, they will not be there. And it's a great opportunity for the other players who've been substitutes or who've been on the bench to prove themselves that they're able to stand even without those girls. And we are able to be confident in putting them in when those four players are not there.
So apart from the Green Buffaloes, contingent of players who, according to if they go far in the competition, might maybe miss the first game in as far as the Colombia outing. The Zambians out there might want to know, it's on a FIFA date. Does that mean that all the foreign-based players have been called for this particular assignment?
Yes, all the foreign-based players will be available.
Okay.
Apart from the Green Buffaloes players who will be on that assignment, but
Okay.
all of them will be there because it's going to be on a FIFA date.
Okay.
Yes.
There's been a lot of concerns that, it seems like going forward, Zambia seems to be very good because they always seem to score. But sometimes our defense is not the best. Is that an area of concern for you as a technical bench as you prepare for this particular one?
I think all the areas are areas of concern for us.
Okay.
Because you find that this moment the back line is okay, the midfield has a problem, then this moment the front, all the areas are areas of concern. We need to solidify them, we need to work on them well so that as we get to the World Cup, because we're playing well experienced teams, so we need to prepare ourselves to a level of a World Cup competitor.
Many of the times, you're making your debut at an international tournament, you're facing a team that has won, the World Cup before in Japan, you're facing a team that has won the European Championship before in the form of Spain. Many teams who are making their debut probably say qualifying is success in itself already. For you as a technical bench, do you think just qualifying is success, or what will constitute success in this regard? Is it getting out of the group stages? Is it reaching the quarterfinals? What, in your own words as a technical bench, will constitute success when you get to this particular World Cup?
Number one, qualifying itself is success.
Yeah.
Because it's the first time we were qualifying since its inception. So success will be moving from all the different stages to reach the furthest we can reach.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So how far do you think the Zambian team can go?
Zambia can go as far as the finals if they work hard, if they put it all together. Everything is possible. Yes, as long as you put in your best and just work hard. Also, key is teamwork.
Okay.
Yes, teamwork is very important.
Okay.
It's I'll tell you that I saw how teamwork worked for us in Morocco.
Okay.
It did wonders because they were in oneness. They did things together. They were a unit that you could not just easily break. So they were able to pull each other. They were able to encourage each other. They were there for each other. That is key on its own.
Okay.
Yeah, it will let you go far. I'll quote from the Bible where it says, "Where there's unity, God commands a blessing." Because when you have unity, you look at the Tower of Babel. Okay, those people were united. They spoke the same language. They believed in one thing, and that's why they were able to start building. So that these guys are so united, they can reach as far. So we've seen how unity and just oneness is able to reach you far in whatever you do.
The latest FIFA rankings show that Zambia has dropped from 80 to 81st ahead of these particular draws that were conducted in Auckland. Zambia are the lowest ranked in terms of the FIFA rankings. What does that do? I know that a lot of times we say that the ranking is just on paper, but obviously now we're in an era, players themselves have got social media platforms and so on and so forth. They look and they listen to pundits who are talking about the fact that, they're the lowest ranked and so on and so forth. Psychologically, what does this do to a player going into a tournament knowing that you're the lowest ranked in your particular group?
We, much as they have their own social media platforms, we still talk to them and tell them not to focus, because social media has a lot of things going on right now that can discourage or disturb our preparations. We've just told ourselves from the technical bench down to the players that we need to focus, and just that's just social media.
Okay, so let's talk about a little bit more in terms of Zambia's group C. Just a reminder to our viewers, it is Spain, Costa Rica, and Japan who have been unveiled as Zambia's group openers at the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. Which one do you think is the weakest team?
There's no weak team in there. There's no weak team in there. So that's what I would say. All the teams in there are competitors for us. So we can't go in there saying, maybe Spain, at least Spain, we can. No, there's no weak team in there. So all we just need to do is just go in fully prepared to face a tough team. Because all the teams in there, I would say they are tough. We can't underrate anyone there. Yeah.
It's got a huge, huge base of Zambians based in Australia. If you had the opportunity to speak to them right now, what would your message be to those Zambians, especially based in Australia and New Zealand?
Well, to the Zambians based in Australia and New Zealand, we need your support. You are the 12th player. Playing on foreign soil without anyone to support you sometimes becomes it drains. Sometimes I know we can't run away from the fact that supporters play a bigger role for the match. Look at the supporters in Morocco, the students in Morocco. They did well. I remember the first game against Cameroon. Cameroon had the most supporters, but those few supporters, when you just hear, polo, you feel, yes, you've got somebody's got your back. So we need your support, and we know that you are the 12th player. We can do this together and continue.
The Zambian delegation led by, first General Secretary Adrian Kashala, and of course, the coach himself, Bruce Mape, who are in Auckland for this particular draw, met with the High Commissioner to, Australia, accredited from Zambia. How crucial is government support in this regard to ensure that the national team does well at this particular World Cup?
I'll tell you that for the first time, the government has really been involved. Looking at from our preparations for the Africa Cup, just that support is a morale booster to the girls. Gone are the days when the team will just play for nothing. Because now we'll talk on the financial part of it. It's a booster, it's a morale booster, because that's a job. You want to work hard because you get something out of it. It's not playing for nothing. You will get something out of it that will change your life and that of your family. So government support towards the women football, even going towards the World Cup, I know that it will be more than it was at the Africa Cup because it's at the biggest stage. So it is very overwhelming, and we really thank government for coming through and looking at the MOU that FAS signed with the government to start supporting the women like the men's team. That has changed a lot of things on the women's football.
How many friendlies as a technical bench do you think you need high quality international friendlies do you need to prepare for such, an assignment such as the World Cup ahead of that particular tournament?
For high quality ones, we as a technical bench are thinking to have 5 or 6 high quality, because then those are the best assessments that we would have. Then the others can just come in with anything that is available. But the high quality ones are especially with the teams that are going to the World Cup, which may not be in our group or which will be available to play with us.
Okay.
Yes.
I know that the World Cup for the men is just about 29 days, away from, starting and kicking off in Qatar. One interesting thing that the host nation have done is the fact that they have embarked on a 6 months training, camp national team, and all the players were basically suspended, or let me not say suspended, were taken away from their clubs into that national team camp to prepare for this particular tournament. Do you think that's a direction that we should take, that the national team players should basically be relieved of their national team duties, maybe let's say 3 months or so before the World Cup, so that they can concentrate on just preparing for this particular World Cup?
Yes, I think that's a good move for them, because they know how important the tournament is and how much they really want to get the good results out of it. Being the host, they would want to win it as well as hosting it. So I think that's good for us. And looking at the women's league in Zambia, it has been compressed in the way that it doesn't come in the way of the World Cup, because we don't want to have teams having games in hand, because most of the players, and the team that will be mostly affected will be Buffaloes, because most of the players are coming from there. So it will be interest, because they'll have to come and fulfill the fixtures. So FAS has put it in a way that they've compressed the games. So our games are ending in April, and so the World Cup is in July. So we have those 2 months to just now camping, but we'll still continue camping here and there while we prepare. But then the longest one will start from May, because the last game of the Women's Super Division is ending on the 29th of April. So from then, we know that these players are free and they'll be able to concentrate. So why they'll be able to concentrate is because sometimes these girls get excited with the club. So they'll just want to go and play for the club. And so we will get injuries from there. By the time they're coming to the national team, they'll be injured. But if we keep them in one place, look at them. The Tokyo Olympics one, we stayed in camp for a long time, and I think the other reason was because of COVID, but it still helped because we kept them in one place. Though at some point they would go out and play league games until a certain time when we said no. But so this time around, I think FAS looked into it very well. The Super League should not be affected, but also the World Cup should not be affected. So it's all sorted well.
I know that FIFA's got stringent measures, and the FIFA window is normally 5-7 days before an international match. How will that affect your preparations, knowing that it's easier to assemble the local-based players to be in camp, but the foreign-based players come at a much later stage, and maybe preparations in terms of understanding the team's philosophy from a coach's perspective might be in different levels, or might be varying between the foreign-based players and the local-based players. How does that work out for you as a technical coach?
Well, I think it's for the girls that the foreign-based players. They usually adapt very fast. That's a good part. So I think maybe if FIFA will look into that in future, so that it doesn't really affect, because not everyone will adapt really quickly. So, for example, the Colombia one, they are not going to be part of this local camp. We're just meeting them there. So I'm sure there will be a lot of miscommunication here and there, because now this one is used to the Spain way of playing, this one is used to the Turkish way of playing, and this one is used to the Zambian way of playing. So the ones that are locally will know that from here, I know that this player wants this ball here, or the movement is like that. So I think going forward, I'm hoping that FIFA can look into those date things that they prepare when it comes to the window.
Okay. We have literally 9 months before the World Cup kicks off. The Zambian football fans out there sometimes do not have a lot of faith in women's, in Zambian coaches. Let me not say women's coaches, but Zambian coaches as a whole. Do you think that between now and the start of the World Cup, FAS should probably think about taking you and the other coaches on the technical bench to refresher courses beyond our borders?
Online, FAS is working on that for refresher courses for all the technical benches for the women's national teams. not just the senior team, but also the junior teams as well, for continuity and also to just refresh and be updated to how the way football is evolving. Because football is changing. It's not the way it was in the 90s. It's not the way it was in the 2000s when we just started. It keeps changing here and there. So that is definitely there for coaches training before the World Cup.
Would you like them to take you to Spain so that you can have a little bit more insight into how the Spanish are preparing for the World Cup?
At least I have some experience with the La Liga program that we have with Zanaco. I had an opportunity to be trained by them and in contact with them. They will help you here and there. But I would like to go there, as well, to just get the concept, the La Liga concept.
Okay. We thank you for your insight in as far as that is concerned. We are going to just basically remind you that Zambia is in Group C in as far as the World Cup is concerned for the women. That is scheduled to be staged in New Zealand and Australia. For the first time, the World Cup is being co-hosted in 2 countries. And of course, Zambia are joined by Spain, Costa Rica, and Japan in as far as Group C is concerned at this particular World Cup. Zambia are making their debut after qualifying owing to the fact that they reached the semi-final of the WAFCON that was hosted earlier this particular year in the North African state or country of Morocco. And in this regard, this particular edition of Cheza Na Topstar is dedicated to the Copper Queens that have done Zambia so proud by qualifying for the World Cup for the first time. My special guest on the show is Florence Mwila, who's the assistant coach for the Copper Queens, the Zambian women's national soccer team. In the dying minutes of this particular show, Florence, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. The last three questions are on this particular show. I know that, so much has been said about Spain and a particular player. What is the danger of Zambia preparing to face Alexia Plateas instead of facing 11 players from Spain?
If as a team or as a coach you prepare to go and play with one player, then you make a mistake because then there are other good players in the team. So we know she's an influential player, but we need to know how to strategize our playing when we meet them in order to stop her. And I don't think we can get the whole team looking at one person when the other players will be kept free. So we will have players that will be able to play with that player. I'll take, for example, the Tokyo Olympics, Brazil. We said these are the influential players. That's why I said that the technology part of it, the video analysis part of it is very good. We know that not just Alexia, there are other influential players in the team. So we need to know how to stop those players. We managed to stop Formula and Mata to a point that they were even substituted from the team. So we are able to strategize and plan in the way that those influential players don't really have it easy in that game.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. I know that Zambia has got now a number of trade beyond our borders. How important is this, to have Zambian players play in Europe, European leagues out there, some of them even playing in the Champions League? How important is it for you as a technical bench to have players who have been exposed at such a level?
It's very important because that exposure will bring a difference to the team. And that shows you that really the game, the women game in Zambia is really taking to its greater heights. If we're able to have a number of players that are outside, especially in Europe, that experience is what we need to beef it up to their local experiences. And you see, when that experience comes in, we put it together, it will give you very good results. And that's what we're looking into, that we have even as many players going out because we need that experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your final thoughts as we reflect on Group C of the 2023 Women's World Cup. Zambia up against Spain, Costa Rica, and Japan. What are your thoughts?
Well, easy group is not going to be an easy one, but it's good that we now know that our opponents, and even in our preparations, we have that in the back of our mind who we are going to play and what we expect out of that, of those matches that we're going to play. And remember, we said we're not going to participate, we are going to compete. Yeah. So we work hard that we'll be able to give them competition. Okay. Yes.
Coach Florence, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Virat.
Of course, that was Coach Florence Mwila, the assistant coach for the Zambian women's national team, giving us technical analysis and insight, as well as reflecting on Zambia's group at the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. Just to recap, in case you did miss the draw that was conducted in Auckland, New Zealand earlier today, Zambia in Group C alongside Spain, Costa Rica, and Japan. The tournament that will be co-hosted by, of course, New Zealand and Australia. That's a wrap in terms of this edition of Cheza Na Topstar. I've been your host, Isaac Chipatanga, and on behalf of the entire production crew that has been working tirelessly to ensure that you get high definition, crystal clear sound and picture on this special edition of Cheza Na Topstar, where we're reflecting on the Copper Queens group in as far as the World Cup is concerned. Until next week, when we come back with another edition of Cheza Na Topstar on Crown Television Channel 89, and of course streaming it live also on our Facebook page, which is Crown Television Zambia, and other platforms such as the Topstar official Facebook page. We'll see you next week, and of course, if you have not bought a decoder in as far as Topstar is concerned, remember that you can purchase one right here, and of course across the length and breadth of the country in as far as the different selling points is concerned. Our lowest bouquet going at exactly 50 kwacha, and of course that basically translates to about 1 kwacha 50 where per day in as far as subscription is concerned, and you can watch the best in as far as local and international content is concerned. Just a reminder, just before we wrap up this edition of the show, women's football in as far as Topstar is concerned doesn't stop with the World Cup, but also the CAF Champions League, which is starting on the 30th of October. Green Buffaloes will be flying the flag of Zambia quite high at that particular tournament is concerned. Will be in action, and you can see all those matches on the various channels in as far as Topstar is concerned, whether it's Sports Plus or Sports Premium or World Football, that you can enjoy those particular matches. I've been your host, Isaac Chipotanga. Until next week, bye-bye and God bless, and ensure that you pay that subscription so that you can be part and parcel of the Topstar family.